Hi everybody! So I just wanted to make a quick video for you. We are right at the 6-week mark in our class, moving into week 7, and since our class is only 12 weeks, that means that we are halfway through the class. There have been a couple of you who have asked how it is that you could do better on your weekly quizzes or on your discussion boards, and so I wrote down a couple of notes to kind of go over with all of you to make sure that you're doing the best that you can. The first thing that I can advise is probably common sense, but it's to spend more time with the material. I don't know if you guys are aware, but your instructors are able to pull up Moodle or to pull up Blackboard also, I think, can do this, and we can look and see which assignments you've accessed and how long you accessed the assignments and whether you printed them or what you did with them. So I guess that's maybe a little bit creepy, but it has shown me that some of the people who have emailed asking, how can I do better on their work, have been spending maybe half an hour to an hour a week on the material before taking the quiz, and that's just not enough time. If you consider that each one of the lectures is about an hour long, and then you have discussion boards, and a lot of times you have to read for the discussion board and complete that, then you should be spending a lot longer on it. I guess I would consider it this way. These online classes are supposed to be taking the place of a face-to-face learning environment, and that learning environment is typically either 3 days a week for 50 minutes, which is 3 hours, or 2 days a week for an hour and 15 minutes. But you also have to keep in mind that those classes involve homework as well. So you, for each online class, theoretically, should be spending anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a week on it. And so just doing the bare minimum in this class, I would say, would take about 3 hours a week. So if you're not doing as well as you would like, then I would probably advise that you spend more time with the material. And part of spending more time with the material is definitely taking notes on the videos as you're watching them. And I would recommend, I upload lists of important terms. I would recommend making sure that you have filled out all of the list by the time that you finish watching the video. And maybe even jotting down the minute marker in the video where they talk about that term, so that when it comes time to take your quiz and you've got a timed quiz and you're trying to remember where they mentioned a particular aspect of the lecture, you've got it written down with a little time marker, and you can just go back and refresh your memory if your notes aren't enough. The other thing that I've been noticing, and I can't figure it out, when you take your quizzes, you all have multiple choice questions and fill-in-the-blank questions. And we discussed before that all of the fill-in-the-blank questions come from your important terms worksheet. But I would say about 25% of the class takes their quizzes and puts terms that are not on that important terms worksheet. And sometimes they don't even put just one word, they'll put a string of words that don't necessarily make any sense. So if your answer is not on that list of important terms that I've uploaded, then there's no way it can possibly be correct. So I would print that out or have it, up on your screen when you take your quiz to make sure that you are, doing the best that you can. The other thing I would say is do not take your quiz before doing the discussion board. You never know if I am going to ask a question that was covered in the reading for the discussion board on the quiz. And then another big one, use your textbook. I know that a lot of you are probably not reading the textbook as we go along through the class, and some of you probably don't need to. There are many of you. The dichotomy in the class of grades is basically most people either have an A+ or they have an F. And there are a couple in between with B's and C's, and these are really the people I'm trying to help here. So for a lot of people, it's either you're doing really well or you're doing really bad, and there's just a couple kind of in the middle. And those of you who are falling in the middle, and if you're really trying to kind of move up the ladder to an A, I would say read the textbook. Now, I don't make my lectures based upon the textbook from the class, but all world history classes cover generally the same topics, and so you're going to see the same important terms and the same kind of information being covered. So it's a really good reinforcer of the material. The other thing I'm going to start to do is that I'm going to add a couple of additions to the course website. The first is a link to a website called AP Get a 5. And the AP World History classes have a ton of resources online that you all can use. They've got some pretty interesting little quiz websites where you can go through for each unit and quiz yourself on the terms and take little practice quizzes. And so I'll link to that. And then the AP Get a 5 website has little review videos for each one of the units that we do. And these videos are pretty good. They're similar to the Crash Course World History videos, but they also have notes on the side and practice quizzes at the bottom. And then the other thing I'll do is link to some of the AP World History outlines and websites with helpful information on them. There's some pretty good study guides for those students who have to take AP World History in high school. And while, again, I don't base my lectures off of this stuff, we do cover very similar topics. They're obviously not going to cover the issues of gender and sexuality, but they are going to cover some of the more basic civilizations that we discuss and sort of social and political themes that we talk about. So I hope that something I've said here, maybe it will trigger something and help you out. But if you're still really struggling, I do encourage you to make an appointment to come see me face to face. It's difficult if you email me and ask how you can do better in the class, and I don't have a lot of information on your study habits other than what I can find on Moodle. And it would be easier to kind of sit with you and talk and maybe even pull up a quiz and go through and talk about what your reasoning was behind things. I am on the Levine campus, which is in Matthews, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then I'm all the way over at the Maracus campus, which is in Huntersville, on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And then if we needed to, I could always meet on Central campus, or we could find, another time or place, like a coffee shop, if we needed to meet and kind of go through the material. But I do want you guys to know that I am available if you want to sit and talk about it. I will say this also, I have been a little surprised because of the students in this class, about 25% are not completing their work each week. And there are several people who have a score that's less than like a 20 in the class. And once we hit the mid-semester mark, it's going to be very difficult for you to attempt to pull that grade up. So if you have kind of gotten to that point in the class, I would definitely recommend making sure that you do every assignment from here on out and that you're really putting in a lot of time and effort, because otherwise you really don't want to waste your money paying for a class and then not do the work and not get a good grade and then have to retake it. And I promise that compared to some online classes you could take where all you do is read the textbook every week, this could be a little bit more interesting for those of you who learn differently. But like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at crystal.moore@cpcc.edu or call my office. My phone number, which I can never remember, is on the syllabus and on the course webpage. And I look forward to continuing this semester with you, and I hope it continues to go well, which for the majority of you, it does seem to be going well. You can expect to get a little survey soon. Just asking some questions about what's working in the class and what's not working, and so I can kind of build off of that for the remainder of the semester. I hope everybody has a good Halloween and a good start to the holidays.